how has the pandemic changed, or how have sales gone at Amplifon during those 18 months? Were people reluctant to get new hearing aids?
Good morning, first of all. Yeah, well, of course, in particular, in the first phase of the pandemic, people were very reluctant to get out of their homes, and therefore we also suffered from the pandemic. But what it was very, very good to see for us was that just after a few months, when the restrictions to the mobility of the people were lifted, we had people coming back to our stores. So, hearing aid is not nice to have. Hearing loss is quite complex and important pathology, and therefore, as soon as the restrictions to mobility were lifted, we saw the clients coming back to our stores.
Enrico, how does our relationship, of course, with our health, with how we hear, with some of the impairments that people have, how will it change because of the pandemic? Is there a new social contract, or do you think we'll go back to what it was like pre-pandemic?
Absolutely. Hearing well has became even more important during the pandemic and even after the pandemic. Untreated hearing loss can have a devastating impact on the people's mental health and their ability to sustain relationship, and therefore on the people's quality of life. That's why, in particular, during the pandemic, when people was not able actually to meet with others and to establish a personal relationship, hearing well was even more important than before.
I know you have quite ambitious targets, and what you're planning for 2023 also strategy mentions revenue will be grown by a number of things, organic growth, but also acquisitions in France, Germany, the US, and China. Are you targeting specific companies, Enrico?
Yeah, well, we have some ideas, of course. Acquisitions has been always part of our model of growth, I would say. In the last 6 years, we have invested about more than 1.5 billion in terms of acquisitions in order to strengthen our leadership in the marketplace, in order to lead the consolidation, which is a process which is ongoing also in our sector. So definitely we will continue to invest in terms of acquisitions. You have mentioned two key areas of focus for us. One is the US, the biggest market in the world, and the other one is China, which is the fastest growing market in the world. So for sure, we will look at those two markets as a priority.
So how much do you think you can grow the U.S. market in the next 2 to 3 years? How much bigger will the U.S. be? And do you worry about valuations? How much more consolidation actually will we see?
Well, we can in the U.S. Definitely there is a huge potential for us. The U.S. is by far the biggest market in the world. The value of the U.S. market is above 6 billion euro, and we capture just a very limited part of this value. So there is definitely a huge potential for us to grow. We will do it both organically, but also through acquisitions, if of course the opportunity will arise.
Enrico, I mean, given some of the supply chain concerns, some of the concerns also in dealing with China, what will your priority be, or what do you worry about the most to try and achieve actually some of those targets?
No, I have to say that as of today, we did not have any significant problem in terms of supply chain, in particular from our suppliers of hearing aids. So this is not a real concern for us. In general terms, we are very confident about our ability to reach the targets we have done in the past. The company has grown in the past always above market, very often double digits. So we are pretty confident about us reaching the targets that we have set for 2023.
Enrico, thanks so much for joining us. Enrico Vita, their Chief Executive of Amplifon.